So here we are with the vegetables ready to make the tray bake. Okay, so talked about nutrition in a previous episode and how trying to get vegetables into your diet. But I thought I'd just demonstrate the tray bake, which is really easy and quick. And particularly if it's not a good day but you want something nourishing, if you make it in the morning when you've got more energy and more positivity, then you can just heat it up, cook it and heat it up later in the day when you're ready to eat it. So first of all, I wanted to say that these really cheap but plastic chopping boards, they're not as attractive obviously as a wooden chopping board, but it makes life a lot easier. So you can just, you do your chopping, you fold it, and the main thing I found is how light they are compared to trying to manhandle a great big wooden chopping board and causing yourself some pain as you have it in the sink and you try to brush it down. These are easy to wash down and you can put them in the dishwasher if you want to. So I start with a metal roasting tin. I find that the metal is better than glass. I think it sort of cooks the veg better, and then it all crisps up a bit more as well. And I've got a particularly big one out today because once I get going and I put more and more veg in, it just gets too big for my smaller one. So the first thing that I do is spray it with spray oil. Now, if you want olive oil, then you can put that in, but I'm trying to lose a few pounds. As I mentioned before, I was carrying lockdown weight and Christmas weight. I'm happy to say, using the tray bake, the vegetable bake, and a few other things that I'm doing, and walking every day and dry January, I've actually lost half a stone since the 1st of January. So I'm feeling a great deal better. And the spray oil is part of that. So that's ready. I've got the oven on, gas mark 6, and I'm now going to start putting in the veg and other ingredients. Now I've been using green lentils because, again, pulses, I want to get as many pulses in as possible. And 2 tins of chopped tomatoes. I sprinkle with paprika and sriracha, always get that wrong, seasoning, which I just found one day and I thought that sounds nice. We like things a bit spicy, so just really be careful frying it without the windows open because it can make you cough. I end up having a coughing fit, but cooking in the oven is fine. That's my spray oil, and of course you could use chickpeas if you wanted to, if this is going to be a totally vegetarian dish, to give it a bit more body. So I've got a sweet potato which I'm going to cut. I've got a selection of knives, but I find big things like this, I can use my left hand to push down on the blade, so it takes the pressure off my right hand, which is where I had my surgery. So chop them in chunks really, and throw them in. Sweet potato has got so many good things in it. Try to eat as much as we can of that. Less starch than normal potatoes. My husband, a few years ago, went to see the doctor and they took his blood sugar levels and he said, oh, it looks like we might be heading towards being pre-diabetic. So he put himself on a diet, sort of a restricted carbs diet, and he was having loads of oats, which reduce your blood sugar level, cinnamon, which he read about, and he puts in everything, in his smoothies, on his porridge, And when he went back sometime later, a few months later, and they did some more tests, he was nowhere near pre-diabetic. He'd solved the problem by diet. So that, I learned a few lessons there about carbs, good carbs, and trying to keep away from the not so good carbs. So there's my red onion, chopped into sort of chunks. Put that in. I'm going to put a red pepper in, because these are so full. A whole one would be 136% of your daily vitamin C. Oh, there's a baby one inside. Lovely. If I use, a whole one of these, and this would be enough for 4 to 6, I would think. But we have it cold the next day for lunch, and we find that it's really tasty and easy because it's already done. Okay, so in goes the pepper. Then aubergine. Again, so good for you, so many vitamins and minerals in there, and just so easy to chop up. And if you don't really like aubergine, when you put it in the Traybake, if you chop it up finely enough, small chunks, you don't even notice that it's in there. With these chopping boards, I think they're everywhere, but we got these, I think you get them online quite easily. We got them in IKEA. I don't go to IKEA very often because it freaks me out that I can't easily escape. But we just stayed in the area of the homeware, and so I was okay. Now, next I'm going to put a courgette. Giving it a wash down. I leave them fairly big chunks because they toast really nicely when they are on the top. There's that. Mushrooms. Of course, mushrooms are so good for the bacteria in your gut. I mean, you can wipe these off with kitchen roll, but it's a thankless task. And it's never given me any problems if I haven't done that. As long as it's not actual chunks of mud in it, obviously. So I just slice those fairly thickly. It's a bit bad inside. Okay, so they go in. What else have we got? A yellow pepper. So get in, because it's yellow, not red, you get different nutrients by having the variety. Oh, asparagus. So I want to get these into me, and I haven't got any other plans for them, but I don't want them to go off. So I'm just chopping them into chunks. These ends. And that goes in. I mean, they have been shown to be anti-carcinogenic, so you can't say fairer than that. Okay. Celery. I'm going to use the more sturdy ones in the middle. I find with celery that quite often it doesn't cook, it's a little bit crunchy in this recipe. garlic. Obviously if you don't like garlic then you can leave this out, but we love garlic and it does make it so much more tasty. I'll chop the garlic up. I used to always put it in a garlic press, but my garlic press is rubbish that I've got at the moment and it just falls apart, and so I just try and cut it thinly and then put that in. So next I'll put the green lentils. Chopped tomatoes. And I'm going to give it a good stir and then start with the seasoning. If you've got some tomatoes that say are starting to go off, like these I've had a while, I'm going to throw those in. It's a good way of using that veg rather than wasting it. A few have gone over there, I'll just leave a couple to go with lunch maybe. And get my big spoon. Give it a good stir. I might need another tin of tomatoes because this is one big Traybake. But what I'll do, I'll cook it for a while and see how it does. And then I'll take it out after about 20 minutes and have a look, give it a big stir, and I might add some more. So now I'm going to put the paprika in, which is a new one, so I can't get the top off, there we go. So I'll get a teaspoon. Usually what I use you can just shake over it, but this is just a tub, which is good because you get more for your money. So that's giving that a good covering of paprika. Then shiraki, I use the bit with the smaller holes so you don't get too much, and adjust the seasoning as I go, as I said. And some salt and pepper. Now the other thing, that's vegetarian option, which at the end I'll put on the cheese, but to give a bit more body to the recipe, I have been putting sausages in it. I started off with meat-free sausages because I was trying to have vegetarian days, and I got these Richmond ones which are really tasty. I loved it, and I made a sandwich out of one and cut it in half, put dark brown sauce on it. It tasted just like a normal sausage to me, but then I read that it has soya in, a lot of soya. So for me, estrogen fed tumour, no. So I'm not having those now. So I've gone over to, these are meat, but I don't know how much meat is in them because they are light and lean, low fat pork sausages, also gluten free. Not that's a problem to me, but if it is for you. Asda extra special, less than 3% fat. So I'm going to give those a try. So I grill them first, and then I'll chop them into about 4 each sausage and put them into the Traybake. give it a spray with the spray oil on the top so that it browns up nicely in the oven. Apart from using less oil, it's a lot easier than trying to get the oil on the top, because you only need it on the top, if you were pouring oil over it. So there's a lot of good reasons for getting these. I don't like the aerosol ones. I just get basically a pump spray with olive oil, or you can get sunflower oil, whatever you like. So I'm going to put that in the oven and then we'll have a look at it once it's cooked. I'm going to take it out now. It's been in for 15 minutes. Now while that was cooking, I had another look at my vegetables and I thought, I bought spring onions and I'm not going to use them. I don't want them to go off. So I'm going to add those. And I'm going to take a look to see if it needs any more liquid, any more tomato. There's some liquid in the bottom. And some has come out of the vegetables. But I think I'm going to put some more in. So give it a good stir so that the vegetables that are on the top that are just starting to brown will go to the bottom and let the other vegetables have a turn. So let's put this other tomatoes in. Don't waste any. You need quite a big spoon or spatula for this, but I'm sure yours won't be as big as mine unless you've got a big family. But I'll freeze probably half of this to have another day when I'm busy with other things and I haven't got time to cook. So, more paprika. I do feel like you can never have too much paprika. And of course all the spices are good for you as well. Not just that they taste nice. And they've all got different properties. So if you have quite a wide range of spices, turmeric we know is really good. And all of those sort of Indian spices. Now, I found my other spray oil, which is rapeseed oil, which I'm keen on at the moment from what I've been reading. There's not a lot left in there, but let's, now that I've found it, let's use it. Ooh, a bit more pepper and some more salt. Now I'm going to put this back in for another 15 to 20 minutes, and then when I take it out the next time I'll put the cheese on, which is, I use Parmesan, Gran Padano, but obviously if you're vegetarian you'll know the right cheese to get in place of that. You can obviously use cheddar, but I find this gives a nice crispier top and it's not quite so fatty and you get more flavour for your volume. So in it goes. 15 or 20 minutes. So I've taken them out again, 18 minutes that time. They're still not soft enough, but they're cooked through enough for me to be happy to put the grated cheese over. With Parmesan you don't need a lot, as I said, so just make sure it's sort of fairly even. And then I'll put that back in for another 20 minutes. So you're talking about an hour really in total. But obviously in between you can get on with your knitting or other things. And this meal has been one of my mainstays with the healthy eating January, losing weight. The other thing is smoothies, porridge for breakfast with cinnamon, a little bit of honey, I'm trying to have less honey, brownies made with butternut squash when I really want something sweet, and mandarin oranges in sugar-free jelly with a blancmange on top made with the skim milk. That's nice to have in the evening as a dessert. I'm so big on desserts, but I just got to have something, and then my brain thinks, okay, that's fine, relax, have a cup of tea later, that fills me up, and then I'm done. My chicken soup is another one, which I'll do on another episode, which is filling and healthy and another way to get all the vegetables in. So we'll look at the final thing in a minute. Right, so I'm going to get the finished artichoke now, which does look really nice and juicy. So I'm not sure I needed that third tin of tomatoes, but just check to see how oh, it's lovely and soft. Yeah, the sweet potato, everything's cooked nicely. So I'll just serve a portion up. Now what you can also do if you want is to cook some pasta. Whole wheat is best, but I don't like it, so I just use the normal white penne, something like that, and that gives that a little bit of carbs to make it go further, and then just a little bit extra parmesan, and then serve it up.